Hi, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. My name's Jeannie Khmelnitsky. I'm the Executive Director for AIA International, and I'm excited to introduce the next session. This is the first session of day 3, sadly, perhaps the last day of the Spring Conference 2024, and we're going to welcome AIA Taipei to bring us redefining sustainability and regional culture in industrial heritage. I wanted to start by giving a quick shout out to the AIA Taipei team. So very excitingly for us as AIA International, we are a state component, and since 2023, we've been allowed to start forming sections, which are similar to a local chapter and enable us to better serve our international members in that area. AIA Taipei is a really established group who has been working and organizing events locally for AIA members for a long time. And so we were really happy, and it took a lot of hard work on their part, that in 2023 they successfully applied for and received AIA section status. So if you are ever passing through Taiwan, definitely get in touch, check them out. They're running lots and lots of events, and we're always happy that they consistently contribute online events that are available to our full global audience like this one. So today, I'm really happy to introduce our speakers, who are Yenling Chen and Minnie Jan. So Yenling Chen and her partner Yen Lin are the two founding partners of Yen Partnership Architects, which is a multidisciplinary design firm based in Taipei. They are focused on bringing new life and purpose to existing buildings and spaces. Prior to founding her own firm, Yenling worked for Stephen Hull Architects in their New York City and Beijing offices. This included working on the Beijing Linked Hybrid project. She also worked for Swire Properties in Beijing as the design manager on the Indigo Commercial Complex project. Drawing from her life experiences living and working in Tokyo, Beijing, New York City, and Taipei, Yenling applies an innovative and adaptive design solution process to her work. And our second speaker will be Minnie Jan, who with her partner Daisuke Nagatomo are the founding partners of Miso Soup Design in Taipei. Their design incorporates new ideas with digital tectonics and sustainability approaches. Miso Soup Design works in diverse areas of design for architecture, interior, and furniture design. She holds a Bachelor of Architecture from the University of Southern California, a master's degree from Columbia University in Advanced Architectural Design, and her professional career includes large-scale office projects in the Middle East and India with FX Val Architects, and also the 23.1-mile Dulles Corridor Metro Rail project, the Silver Line stations in the Washington, D.C. area with Di Domenico and partners. So it is my pleasure to pass you over to Yenling Chen.
Thank you, Jeannie. Hi, everyone. Now let me share my presentation. Everyone seeing my screen now?
Yes, looks good.
Great. Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for joining. It's a great pleasure to be able to speak about our project in Lintianshan Forestry Cultural Park. It's the site is industrial heritage in the east side of Taiwan. Let me quickly go through jump right into the presentation. The vision of the project, the client, we have a very supportive client and are willing to communicate in the very early stage on how we see this project. So for the client, they want to preserve and revitalize the site with the cultural tourism. And then for us, we want, as an architect, we want a little bit more that build a community with the sense of the place that evolves with time, so the legacy of the village can continue. And the site, from the picture, it's really beautiful. Used to be called Morisaka. It's in Japanese, like that mountain slope covered with dense forest. But I think in our current condition, in many heritage sites in Taiwan have a very similar issue. That's because we repurpose the place, especially the industrial site. The existing residents, if there is any, they actually feel lost, feel losing the connection with their home, their site, so they'll start to leave. And then with maintaining empty site, it's very difficult for a government because never have enough funding from central government. And then for industrial heritage, the remote location, because usually it's really remote, not enough incentive for the external operator. So often this happen really, really frequent that we rehabilitated a site and it's been empty for a while, looking for external operator. And then the operator comes in, find that it's not what they want, they demolish and renovate. For a while, it's not unique anymore, so it's being abandoned and then rebuilt again. So that's for us, it's wait a minute, that's a lot of when we talk about material decarbonization, it's actually more issues in the operation stage. And then when we look at also from the data on the annual global CO2 emission by sector, operation actually accounts for a big part. It's 27%. So in early stage, both the client and us agree on one thing, is that we have to do this project and focus a lot on the operation. We have to look into the community. So jumping back to the site, I would like to introduce Taiwan a little bit, because we're a very tiny, small island, 144 kilometer wide and then 394 kilometer long. It's really small. And then, but we are very mountainous. So this is the cross section of the island. You can see on the upper left corner, there's a cross section Taiwan shape. This the tallest part of the island is actually Yushan, 3,900 meters. Just to give a rough idea, it's very similar to Japan, Mount Fuji, that's 3,700 meters. And then the side on east side, it's in the valley between the island, between the mountains. The site itself is 160 meter in elevation. The tallest part of Lintianshan, it's the logging part, it's 1,900 meter. So with such a lot of changing elevation, naturally there's many kind of plant species and forest type. And during our colonial period, Japan was, they found the potential of the vegetation and the agricultural production. So the development of the site, the island actually focused on the agricultural products. And then there's a logging site being developed, and then railway system being developed too. And in the next, this old map actually showing the past logging site. There were 4 from northeast Yilan, and then to middle of Taiwan, the Taichung site. And then Lintianshan is the east coast. You can see the red lines. It's actually railway systems. And then people probably more familiar with Alishan site in Chiayi. And then this diagram showing the Lintianshan logging site, how the logs, the timbers were transported from the mountains to the site. And then that also transferred to the railway system, north to Hualien port, and then south to Taidong. The 100 years site history. After 1945 liberation of Taiwan, there was a bushfire, so the site were returned to government. And then also was in the 80s, there was a conservation law. The logging industry is not there anymore, so the site was closed. But with such a rich historical context, the Culture Affairs Bureau in 2006 listed the site as a historical village, which is the group of building. And our firm was awarded to a master plan back in 2019. The plan was developed and then completed in 2021. Quickly going on the population, just to give you a rough idea, when at 60s in peak time, there were 2,000 workers living in this village. And then the site was full of the living facilities such as canteen, clinics, shops, and all that. And then current residents in the village is about 150. But we still think there's still residents, retired staff that's 50 people with their families living inside. Is actually a very valuable part of the historical context. And the site is quite big. It's 150,000 square meter. And with such a big site, it's very difficult that to do the development or revitalization all at once. The naturally government has to separate into phases. We were conducting the research on the important buildings and then marked out a core historical area. That's the first priority. And then also preserve landscape area predominantly is something to be related to the railway context. And then the timber pond was very important part of the site. Our scope of work, the project scope was master plan and then phase 1 buildings. Master plan was marked in blue dash line, and phase 1 building were marking bright orange. From the right-hand side, there's the entry. Going inside, first is charcoal factory and dormitory, canteen, dessert shop. And total construction budget was, it's actually only $4 million US. The time was around roughly three years, a bit more. So I'm wrapping up the context part, quickly going through the picture from the past. This is a photo from the 60s entrance of the village. You can see the charcoal factory on your left-hand side. There's many people, kids, family living in the village. This is a charcoal factory when we were undertaken the master plan stage. It's built post-war after 1950s. This is a dessert shop, was back then using as chief of the village office. This is the dormitory, already built with a lot of extension buildings. So the facade, original facade was covered, not really visible, but built early 1900s. And then this is the canteen building built post-war. The challenges, the project that I would like to talk about is because of the industrial context, industrial space was not meant to be open to public. So the repurposing and preservation become a really big challenge for us. And then along the execution, of course, there's many challenges that comes from industrial context. And then the third point, the community building, going back to the early point of talking about how we actually, because the building is only 100 years old, the legacy should live on, and then how we build a community that actually can live with the architecture for a long time. And then in the end, I will touch a little bit about our public project system, why it's so difficult. So the challenge one, talking about, I'm taking charcoal factory as an example of how this expression of space and new program is being transformed to a place that's open to public, and then how we decarbonize that historical building in a way that we can reduce the waste of energy and then also reduce the operational cost. And then we will talk about canteen with the restriction of the fire code and how we try to make a new crowd not interfering with the privacy of the existing resident too much. This is the existing charcoal factory plan. So you can see this factory. So it's one big space only for production, but new program, we have many exhibition space, information meeting point, event gallery space for residents and public. So issue naturally become how we can divide the space so that spatial flow sequence can be more making more sense to public, and then how we save the energy in such a hot weather that's actually Taiwan in a humid climate, high temperature. And then we also need to control point to save the artifacts and a flexibility for use. Diagram A showing the outdoor, the use of outdoor event space. One is for public and one of potentially for community events, because from the talk with the residents, we know they actually love having a gathering outdoor, talking to neighbors. And from the analysis, you can see that this entrance, there will be a lot of tour bus actually drop off in here. So we need a breakout space here. And then from this point to the next spot is actually 5 minutes walk. So it's very important this as the first stop of the culture park as a reception space for the visitors, what message we would like to give them. And then diagram B showing the AC required space is actually very small. We don't need such a high seating or air conditioned. And then diagram C showing how we separate this big space into small pockets. And then the balancing of preservation and the new elements for the facade expression as this other thing we talk about, as of course, we want to preserve the expression, the historical context from the back. So we're using corrugated iron to continue the roughness of the factory. And then, but we need also at the same time, not the closed facade. It has to be more open to more friendly for visitor to come inside and then get more information. And then talking about this climate issue, aside from we making a too small box for air-conditioned space and then the rest being natural ventilation, it's because it's inside the valley. From the section you can see it's in the valley. So we actually have to open up a lot of southwest corner to let the natural air comes in the summer. And then this northeast side is actually winter humid, very cold air. So we tend to close off on that side. And then this is the plan showing, this is the public outdoor space. And then this two new box we newly built, that's for exhibition. And then you can also lock off air condition, and then tour meeting point around the trees. And then nice summer breeze coming in from the southwest side. This is a picture going through before and after the charcoal production area. This you can see when back in the days they make the charcoal from this machine. That's quite impressive facility. And then this is a public area. Southwest view. We intended to form a more openness to a public area, so the visitor can feel more comfortable walking inside. And then the other side, actually, the community event space, flexible use. They can actually open the exhibition space as a semi-outdoor stage. Moving on to the canteen building, that's now used as sculpture exhibition space because the kitchen is not allowed inside. So structure, after we done the structure reinforcement of the existing building, we actually define and then design called reuse necessary facility for historical building. That's the kitchen and toilet. So we can pass the heritage historical building review. And then all this is actually for provision for external operator. They can quickly come in even in such a remote location. They don't need to do much of construction. It's many of the necessary major scene is ready to use, and then also leave the flexibility for local operation. From the architecture expression, the new building, as you can see from the picture, and then also the section, we are trying to respond to the surrounding mountainscape. Challenge 2 is the design, execution, and construction for material and the legacy of the workmanship. The existing condition, of course, it's an old building. There's asbestos and hazardous material, and then we also have to do pest control. This is a diagram showing how we communicate with the builder and carpenter. We actually mark out the green structure component. This is a floor desert shop or floor joist condition. Green one is usable with cleaning, and the yellow one is usable with some repair. Red one is non-usable. That's for recycle and then processing. So this one, right-hand side, the image shows the red one that's non-usable structure component, but it's actually usable as a furniture if we clean it and then process it. So we actually make certain furniture from recycled wood. And then this is the yellow tag, the structure elements that the carpenter, we actually call them master carpenter. They are from the region, and then they have their own way of repairing the structure. So intentionally in our building, the structure, the repair parts, the new part and old part was not painted as one color. We intended to show the difference so visitor actually can catch up which part is new and then which part is old, and then actually there's a lot of thought put into the local craftsmanship. Challenge 3, community building. We would like to redefine the sense of the place and the community, because through the conversation with the local residents, they mentioned a lot about dessert shop. It's a place together for them back then. They come to dessert shop a lot, and then they talk a lot. But now, because there's no logging industry, there's no forestry industry anymore. So we actually need to find something that's actually can root in this community, and then for the residents to live with that. So exploring the regional culture is a big part. And then quickly touch on the historical significance. The individual building here is not much of a historical value. It's valuable only with the group of buildings. So it's more flexible for us to modify a individual building, but in the context of industrial site. So for example, I just mentioned the railway or the factory or this kind of the core significance of the site has to be preserved as the context. And then we talk to the residents about how they want to actually pass on the culture of the and in the past, and then sort of having the intangible cultural heritage being more emphasized on site on the forestry logging culture. So our goal is to have architecture. It's actually not just a physical building, but it's more as a member of the community that tells the story. So this is a design presentation made to the residents after the design was signed off by clients. And then we actually went into the chief of the village office and then talk about what they want to preserve as when we turn them into a dessert shop. And then so we preserve this contrast of the structure, and then we actually taking back from that the picture of the dessert shop on the small like chairs and table they can have a dessert on. And then these furniture elements, that's the reclaimed wood from the structure. So the people in this village, they actually know this is coming from part of the old structure. And then we intentionally leave a lot of trace that the village residents can talk about. So this is, we actually found a local artist in the village. He was born and living in the village and also have an indigenous culture background. And we also collaborate with the president of Community Development Association. We sit together with the master carpenter and builder. We try to make something that can pass on the stories from what we recycle, reclaim from the structure. So this is in the end, we decided to leave a feature of the structure component. So you can see from the one of the leg in the table. And then they have this burned wood surface that's actually an indigenous element in the village that they want to pass on. And then also this we call it the carpenter structure carpenter way of woodworker way of fixing the new and old wood that has to be carried on. And then on the facade part, we have to replace a lot of the facade panel, but the resident wanted us to preserve some of the panel with the color. And then we found it's really, really interesting because there are actually different colors. For example, this mosaic, the green one is the mosaic sort of function in the old days when they were in the wall. So the building is less obvious from the area. And then we try to have a native species of vegetation in the courtyard. And the public project system making actually all this idea I mentioned before very difficult because first of all, I cannot appoint my own artist. It's regulated by procurement law. And then lengthy procedure actually makes everything very inconsistent, very hard to keep the consistency throughout the design because your client is basically based on being faced based on the budget you get from the government. So this is the master plan done in 2021. As you can see from the landscape, we try to preserve this pound, the timber pound here. And then because of the budget, it has to be phase 2, 3 stage. And then when the plan was tendered out to other designer, because the lack of budget make them very difficult to follow the original master plan. So as you can see, the context of that plan is gone. And then so that's I quickly touched around the challenges. Now I would like to share the phase 1 completion of every building. The charcoal factory, we use cotton steel to preserve the sort of a rustic rough feeling. And then this is the entrance of the village, that you will first see the charcoal building with a lot of opening. You can see there's an exhibition inside. And then this, I'm quite happy to see the exhibition planner actually made a very regional graphic from inside the cutting paper. It's part of their regional context. And then this inside the exhibition area also was planned to, we actually added the mezzanine so you can take a closer look to the original the artifact that you have in the space. And then because of the client wants to sort of emphasize the beauty of the wood material, we made a very special window frame that was shaped that have a more exposure of timber texture. And then always good, this is one of my favorite shot of community event space. You have this misty, beautiful mountain backdrop as your event stage background. And then this is the tree that part of, it's already grown, becoming part of the charcoal factory, the meeting point for the group tour. We have a lot of opening, so the natural ventilation work, even if you're waiting here, less chance of being bite by this mosquitoes on site. And then this is the dessert shop. Next to it, Mrs. Sun, living here, born here. She told me a lot of stories, and she's very happy to see this becomes again a dessert shop. And then from here, you can see left-hand side of the dessert shop is the community shop, community store. Potentially, you can find an external operator, but if not, you can still operate by yourself. So it's still a lot of flexibility. Hopefully, the Community Development Association can find a way to collaborate with the external operator on this. This dormitory, there was, it used to be just a building and then a lot of extended building in the front. We take them out, and then now a nice front garden. And then we also sort of make the bathroom slightly more modern. So if we find an external operator, client wants to make it a long stay, so it's more comfortable for people to live here. And then we intended to make the backyard becoming a part of the extended beautiful landscape of the site. And then this is the backyard view. You can still see the mountain, and it's really, really beautiful site. And then from the interior space, you can see a nice open space. And then this is the canteen space, and the left-hand side of the picture is the stair of the kitchen leading to the canteen space. Of course, there is a dumbwaiter for delivering food, but there's also a nice stair that you can actually becoming when you're running in and out, you're still actually having a nice environment. And then many people actually stay outside the canteen, and then you will be looking into a new built kitchen that still have a wood structure that's part of the conversation with the old building, and then the shape of the roof. We try to respond to the beautiful mountainscape. So I think this is the end of my presentation.